We're observing some narcissists today. One narcissist has blown smoke up the other narcissist's ass, and the narcissist just takes it. It's fascinating how these people interact with each other.
When thinking of gathering Black women and sort of centering our stories, you are always at the top of the list. Okay?
Wow.
Oh, that must be why you interviewed Oprah first.
To be the woman who has such versatility and style and such choice and agency in how you do that is really special. And so I'm glad we get to talk about it.
Talk about what? You haven't said a damn thing with that sentence. Also, flattery is a tool of great evil. If you're gonna compliment someone, say something real. Otherwise, you're just blowing smoke up their ass. Issa Rae is an actress who made a show on HBO Max called Insecure. And she is the second guest that Tracee interviews for her show, The Hair Tales.
Throughout her meteoric rise.
I thought she said mediocre for a second, which would have been pretty accurate. Have you watched Insecure? Don't. I couldn't get past the first episode.
My hair is very high maintenance, kind of needy, like that friend that's just always like, come in pretty today, do I look okay? Like,
oh dear, you need better friends.
I associate the versatility of hair with the versatility of me and being able to be me in my fullness.
Weird. Oprah said my fullness as well.
On camera.
On camera in my fullness. That was a big deal.
Are these people in a cult? They talk exactly the same way with words that mean nothing.
I think my hair can be insecure sometimes. Years of abuse, years of telling her she's not pretty.
Tell me the story of your life through your hairstyles.
I almost thought she was going to say, through your hair's point of view. They were talking about hair like it was the third person in the room.
Can you tell me when the empowered, what age were you?
What is the sentence structure? Who was your grammar teacher, Yoda? Grammar teacher I am. Teach you I will.
So many memories.
Give me one, just throw one at me.
Exactly.
It's not the fact that I'm using a comb and I have ripped your hair out of the actual place it comes out of my scalp.
Do you mean hair follicle? Dear God.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like there is a moment that I think we have to address is the fact that beauty is pain. But then so many of us, you know, we have trauma from that.
Yes, trauma. Remember when we reserved the word trauma for things like going to war and being shot at, or being kidnapped and kept in a basement for 900 years, or living in a cult? But no, trauma in 2023 is if your head hurts because your mom brushed your hair too hard. Trauma is if you get an eyebrow wax and your face hurts for a few seconds after.
One.
Cocksucker mother!
Trauma is coming home from the massage parlor and your masseuse was a little too hard on your shoulders. Oh, the humanity!
You know what I was thinking as you said tenderheaded? Is that a word that is only in our culture?
I wonder. It's almost victim blaming.
What's your mom's name?
Talina. She was great about making sure that, you know, after calling me dramatic, that I would get the care that I needed.
That's not victim blaming then. That was parenting. Victim blaming is when you tell a victim to piss off, don't help them, then blame them for the crime that was committed against them. Do you not even know the definition of your own term that you made up, leftist? Not surprising, honestly.
I mean, being called nappy-headed.
Were you in a mostly white school?
Why are you bringing race into this? Stop race hustling, Tracee. She could have asked Issa, who called you nappy-headed? But no, she implies, oh, the evil white people must have called you nappy-headed, right?
Were you in a mostly white school?
Do you know how much I give a fuck about a black girl's hair?
When I was in Maryland, yes. I was in a very diverse school, and then when I moved back to LA, I was in predominantly black schools.
And it was black people saying your hair was nappy-headed?
Yeah, I mean, because that's also what
we
were taught.
Okay, Tracee, if you knew this, see, now your race hustling antics just became clear. Black people give each other critiques about other black people's hair. So bringing up white people makes no sense other than your stupid race hustling.
Like when I was little, I had nappy hair because I was scared to do it. My mama was scared to do it, so it didn't get done. So yes, it was nappy. I didn't comb it.
So let me get this straight. Nappy means messy? Someone who doesn't have anyone to do their hair or comb it has messy hair.
I did because my mom was great about educating me. She was just so frustrated. She like, I don't understand. This is your hair. What do you, like, what's the problem?
What is the problem indeed? Somehow I feel like this is a show about a bunch of narcissists who wanted to make a show talking about themselves, but they can't make it that obvious to everybody. They act like they have some deep-seated pain that is designed to garner empathy from the public. But in reality, they just want to hear themselves talk.
So I'm not just y'all mom, I'm also fly. And I was jealous of that too, because I was just like, well, if you can do all this with your hair, why do I have to keep mine in the same state?
Probably because you were a child at the time. I always wanted blonde hair, even when I was little. I asked my mom if I could dye my hair when I was in middle school, and she said no. Parents are allowed to say what hairstyles their children should have while they're children.
Many of those young women, by the time they became of age into young adulthood, began to reject the styles that defined them as young civil rights activists.
Can we go back to this? Can we have a rejection of activism? It's got a time and a place, but now is neither the time nor the place, because activists are just complaining about nothing. We live in the freest country in the world, but the activists are choking me at every turn. The more activists complain, the less freedom we have. They want to ban and censor and legislate the living shit out of everything we do. That's the opposite of what activists used to do. Activists used to fight for freedom. Today's activists are fighting for more tyranny.
It's so amazing to me. There's something that happens when Black women talk about our hair. Like, I'm sitting here listening to you and I immediately go back to my memories. Like,
this is how conversations work. It's not just this amazing thing that Black women can do. If anyone has a conversation about a topic that is relevant to both people, memories will come up for both people. Stop treating normal things like they're groundbreaking. It's annoying.
I was so ashamed, and my mom got so frustrated with like, why are you hiding your hair constantly? And it was just because, you know, either I wasn't gonna be able to do it to the standard.
Right, I can't meet the standard, so I'll just give up and not try. What a horrible attitude. You instantly fail when you don't try. At least when you try and fail, you can say you tried your best.
Part of it was different textures and, you know, it didn't feel like it had an identity.
This concept is still so weird to me. Hair is part of a human body. It's there to keep your head warm, plus give you a sense of fashion depending on how you style it. It's not a foreign entity growing on your body. It doesn't need its own identity. It's part of you, and you have an identity. Your body parts don't have separate identities from you. What the hell is going on? Maybe that's why you guys are so obsessed with your hair and constantly feeling like there's something wrong with your hair because you're acting like it's a pet you have to take care of. No, take care of yourself, which includes your hair because it's part of you. Jesus Christ.
There was just so much curiosity about my hair being cut off, and you know, friends would be like, girl, don't, no, blah, blah, or yeah, try it.
try it, like you could try it.
Well, yeah, because hair grows back. It's not like she was chopping her head off.
It was the women that we would see at church. It was the neighbor that I had who always had a different hairstyle. She would dye it blonde, she would dye it blue.
If your neighbor has blue hair, move. Just leave the neighborhood. Save yourself the trouble.
Versatility. I think it's one of the ways that we tell the world who we are. And I think being able to be versatile has been a survival tool for us.
Absolutely.
It's a survival tool for the entire human race. The ability of humans to adapt to whatever situations come about is why we've been on Earth for as long as we have. Leftists like to take a characteristic and apply it to one group of people and then act like it's this groundbreaking concept. This is a tactic to elevate one group as superior instead of actually wanting everyone to be equal.
particularly with our hair.
So often we're placed in a box.
The left is the one who puts everyone in boxes. Think about it for a minute. Who's the side that keeps dividing everyone into identity groups? Then think about what side you're very clearly on just by the way you talk.
There's a specific validation of just being and living in you.
The left is the only side who cares so much about validation and waiting for other people to validate them.
I think so often people place their expectations upon us depending on how our hair is styled. You know, even when I had my weave stage, like the way that I'd be approached would be so different.
Again, this is a universal occurrence. I have a white friend and she had a short haircut for a while. It was a haircut more popular on guys, closely shaved in the back and short in the front. But when she grew her hair out, she told me the way people would talk to her would be different than when she had short hair.
We have Black women who still assert themselves and say, I want to wear my hair in a particular way. And if the next week I want to fry it down and dye it blonde, then that's okay too.
Wait a minute. So it's okay for Black women to dye their hair blonde, but it's not okay for a blonde woman to braid her hair? Tell me how that works again. Explain. If you're gonna complain that white people cannot appropriate Black hairstyles, as you say, then fine. Blonde is a hair color exclusive to white people's genes. So stop appropriating the blonde hair color. Hypocrites, the lot of you.
You know, just that constant policing of our bodies, policing of our hair.
It's always amusing to me how the left will rail against the actual police and then use the word policing in contexts like these. They're always saying language is being policed or bodies are being policed. For people who hate police, you really sure do like to mention police a lot.
She is my hair architect.
Is your hair a building? Architects design buildings. Are buildings animated? Earlier, your hair was having an identity crisis, like a living person. But now your hair has an architect, like a skyscraper.
And my hair believer.
Is your hair a cult leader? Is it a religion? Your hair has believers?
And when you said she's your hair believer, did your relationship with her start to give you courage around your hair?
Now you're scared of your hair? Well, I guess I can't blame you. It is a cult leader with believers that's a separate identity from you with emotions of its own that sometimes thinks it's a building. Yeah, that is pretty scary.
She just immediately caused me to view my hair differently, loved on it.
I love that.
Should I be worried? Sounds like something inappropriate is going on there.
Like, I love my clients, they love me. I've done someone's hair, they bought a new car, they left their husband.
Wait, you're causing divorces? Are you on a divorce lawyer's payroll? Hey, I got a client here. She's got no confidence. If I give her a new hairstyle, I'll send her your way because she's definitely gonna leave her husband because she's too hot for him after what I can do. Yeah, me client, Sue client.
They get the battery in their back to do things, and they take you with you places, they take you on tours, and then I love the people who treat me like family.
After you broke up theirs?
I love that different hair moments bring me closer to my people.
This is the problem with our country right now. We don't view ourselves as one people, as one American race. We view ourselves as my people, separate within one nation. It is a terrible way for a country to view itself. If you're wondering where division is coming from and why people cannot seem to get along, this tiny phrase, my people, is one of the little things that is having astronomical consequences. You will never hear me say my people unless I am referring to America as a whole, and I strongly suggest you do the same.
So much happens in the intimacy and the sacredness around our hair.
Here we go again, using a religious word to connect it to hair. Maybe they really do think their hair is a religion.
You think back to slavery and maps to freedom being hidden in our braids.
Is that where the start of the don't touch my hair came from? Because you were hiding super secret covert op blueprints inside your hair? And if anyone touched it, your plans would fall out?
You know? Yes, the more we connect ourselves to that lineage and take ownership, who's taking ownership of these conversations? Who's talking, like you calling cornrows elegant? Something I've never heard until, recently.
What is it with people today being so pretentious? They can't just say things. 20 words just to say, like, I've never heard anyone call cornrows elegant till Tracee said it. Why do we have to say, like, who's taking ownership of these conversations? Who's talking about you calling cornrows elegant, something I've never heard until recently? What are we even talking about?
Yes, they're different textures, and sometimes it doesn't know what it wants to be.
Does it need to take a college entrance exam to figure out what it wants to be?
For the longest time when I was younger, ambition was such a negative word for women.
Why? I always hear people say this. Meghan Markle dedicated an entire episode of her insufferable podcast whining about the word ambition, but I have never gotten a clear picture on why feminists keep saying this. And not surprisingly, 0 of the feminists who have made this claim have ever gone on to explain it. Let's see if Tracee will break that record.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
And she doesn't explain it. Record's still intact. I do appreciate that she likes that word now. It's because it's a good word. It means you have determination and drive to do things and strive for what you want.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to describe myself outside of ambitious. I mean, I think that that's just, what else would I be if I wasn't?
Lazy. If you weren't ambitious, you'd be lazy.
There's so much in our hair.
So much hair product.
So much so, we are in our hair.
You are in your hair? You are inside your hair. How come I can still see you then?
So much history, story, and pride in our hair that when we came to this country, our hair needed to be tied down.
Pretty sure slaves voluntarily tied their hair up while they were working, so it was out of their face in the hot fields. Everyone does that if they're working outside in the sun. It makes no sense to have your hair getting in your eyes when you're trying to harvest a field.
Our pride, our ancestry, our fashion sensibility, our looking forward.
Can you do more of this looking forward thing? Because I haven't seen it yet. Because you keep talking about slavery and it was abolished over a century ago now. In this episode and in the first one, slavery was mentioned. Pretty sure slavery is behind us. Far, far behind us.
The metaphor for my life is to continue to always try to live and experience life through my hair. And
I felt like she meant to say motto, because metaphor would mean she was using something descriptive but not actual to describe her life. For example, if I was to give a metaphor for my life, it would be a battlefield, and the enemy is woke people trying to control every aspect of society. Here comes another leftist rule we're supposed to follow or else we'll be canceled. Duck and cover! Motto means something that describes how you live your life, which I think is what she meant.
I don't know who the person was. Like my high school version of myself, I'm like, who was that? The relationships that I had with even like siblings and partners, I'm just like, I don't know that part of me. And people, you develop and you grow and you change and you evolve.
Yeah.
Yes, but you're still the same person. You're still Issa. Everyone does things or has certain events in their life that they'd probably never do again because they've changed that behavior, or stopped hanging out with a group of friends, or just stopped liking something. But all of that makes up who you are. I used to be in a cult, and that mindset I had when I was there, I have a complete 180 of right now. But I don't act like those 7 years of my life are detached from who I am now. They are part of who I am now. I think it would do leftists some good to understand this concept. Maybe they wouldn't all have perpetual adult identity crises where they think their hair is a different entity. Maybe they'd stop thinking their 20-year-old self was this separate entity from their 30-year-old self.
One of the things about you that is really special is you are so yourself, and as a result, you give others permission to be themselves.
You mean themselves? Well, that was all for the Issa Rae episode. I feel like there was a lot of like a supremacy undercurrent going on throughout the whole thing, where like they would keep thinking that everything was groundbreaking, even though it was like something everyone has done since the beginning of time. Everyone does it and it's this mundane thing, but then when they do it, it's like groundbreaking and stunning and brave and good and perfect. I also felt like in this episode there were just so many extra words that they would use when they were talking to each other, and they just couldn't spit anything out. I guess it would show insecurity if you're constantly stumbling over your words and not knowing what the hell you're trying to say. So I guess the title of Issa Rae's show, Insecure, is accurate for her own personality. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video.